Los Angeles Police Department as part of an ongoing investigation. Theft, tampering, or destruction of this audio file is a felony, and violators will be prosecuted.
The year is 1917. World War I has raged on for about 3 years at this point. The United States has remained combatively neutral. That was until one infamous telegram leaked that led them into one of the biggest conflicts in history. This begs the question, was America justified? This question, and more, will not be answered on the 560th episode of Highly Debatable, because it appears our hosts have decided that they want to argue whether or not we should leave the underground studio we've been in our whole lives. So, I don't know, listen if you want. I've given up and just let them have the show at this point, so... Oh... Here are two lovely hosts, Xavier, a staunch believer in the idea that leaving the studio is dangerous, unsafe.
Hello?
And Anna, a firm believer that we should go outside into the world as opposed to locking ourselves in a podcast studio.
Hello.
You know what? Before we start the podcast, I'd just like to point out that the sponsor of today's podcast is no one. It is no one. No one. That is a massive L, Otta. It is kind of an L, Otta. God, I'm sorry no one wanted to sponsor a podcast with an average of 3 listeners. That's a damn lie. We had 20 hosts who just argue about crap. Alright, calm down. Anna is now Xavier failing. Anyways, today's topic is American isolationism, whether it was sustainable, yada yada. But it seems y'all want to argue about leaving a soundproof hole in the ground. So, I suppose we'll waste our time talking about that. Xavier, would you like to take the floor? Yes, I would, Michael. And I'd like to say, leaving this bunker, the studio, where we record the podcast, where we live, where we've always been, where the rest of the world's problems is definitely not our business, it's dumb. Why would we do it? There's no reason. You know what, Michael? I'm going to go back to your little boring, dumb topic about World War II or whatever. It's World War I, and draw some connections to it. Alrighty? I mean, the U.S. joined the conflict, and I have to ask why. What was the point of leaving their little space to go out and fight a European conflict, especially when it goes against their foreign policy of isolationism? Wait, hold on. Going back to what you said about America always being isolationist, I must say that simply isn't true. What do you mean? Well, it may not be as black and white as you think. I say this because only a decade or two preceding the war, there were many high-profile figures in American government and culture who spoke in favor of American imperialism, this being military intervention in former colonies and less developed nations. For instance, in former President Teddy Roosevelt's 1906 State of the Union address, he said, and I quote, "So far, our action in the Philippines has been abundantly justified, not mainly and indeed not primarily because of the added dignity it has given us as a nation by proving that we are capable and honorably and efficiently to bear the international burdens which a mighty people should bear, but even more because of the immense benefit has come to the people of the Philippine Islands." Essentially saying that we should intervene in the affairs of other countries because it benefits the world. Other examples include another former president of the time, William McKinley, who when questioned on why he didn't give the Philippines independence, he said there was nothing left to do but to take them all and to educate and civilize and Christianize the Filipinos. Okay, but those were just the mentalities of a few guys from the time. The fact that at the time we had the Philippines as practically a colony. Now hold on, that was different. Well, how so? Well, we needed to keep them under our control to, protect them. It was our service to the world. Well, wouldn't joining the war be justified if we're going along that reasoning? I mean, we helped end the war pretty quickly. I'd say that posited a net good to the rest of the world. Well, is it a net good when so many Americans died from serving in a war that didn't involve them? I mean, was it truly a net good when we sent young men to die in a war that they could have, we could have avoided being involved in? Now, hold on. We're getting into the subjectivity here, and I don't like subjectivity. On this podcast, we only debate the real facts and logic because we are rational men here. Shut up. And 2, I'd like to present the next topic to Xavier of whether America would even be able to stay in isolation.
Wait, hold on. We were arguing about leaving the studio.
Stop trying to get us off topic, Michael.
Yeah, stop trying to get us off topic, you nerd.
Oh, the topic was World War I. You inbred moron.
Anyways, back on topic. Not going outside is simply ignorant. I mean, I believe I should remind you about the raccoon incident.
Oh my god. Always with those damn
raccoons stole our food. We were starving for a week. Okay, and how many times did that happen, Anna? Like 3 times? You're grossly overreacting to a small threat, just like the U.S. did with the Zimmerman telegram.
Elaborate.
Shut up, Michael. Okay, our main justification for joining the war wasn't all that noble. It was just kind of manipulated by the media. For instance, in an interview about why the U.S. joined the war by Sandra Nispel with Rochester University poli-sci associate professor Hein Gomans, it says, while Gomans says he never found any indication in official notes and papers at that time from the U.S. government that took this threat, the telegram, seriously, it nevertheless became a propaganda gift that could be used against the Germans. Then it was a real factor in decision-making of the Americans to go to war, showing that the media was blowing the Zimmerman telegram out of proportion, leading to calls for the war to become larger. Just like those damn raccoons, Ada. Alright, joining the war could be avoided, and so can leaving the studio. Okay, and hold on. I think the Zimmerman telegram was a very justified reason to go to war. I mean, they literally tried to get Mexico to go to war.
But did they, Ada? Because
there's a reason why Germany didn't attack us, and it's because they knew they couldn't do it. They knew that they didn't want to fight us, so they went to Mexico.
Well, hold on. What if they just went to another country and got them to fight us?
Well, I don't think any other country would. Also, I mean, most other countries, unlike Mexico, would have any reason to fight us, nor the industrial might to fight against us.
How do we know? How can we possibly keep them from going out and maybe finding someone else to fight us?
Also, I'd like to say that there were definitely other factors that led the U.S. going to war, and it wasn't just an easy decision. It's just the Zimmerman telegram. There were so many other things. Like, for instance, as remarked in Chapter 6 of Blinders, Blunders, and Wars, What America and China Can Learn, a report made by the Rand Corporation on America in World War I and how we got into it, the authors bring up the point that going to war was a difficult decision and certainly not taken lightly, considering that Wilson was reluctant about going to war over even unrestricted submarine warfare, and God damn it.
What?
We're talking about World War III again.
I
hate you, Michael. Anyways, look. Going outside is just as necessary. If not the raccoons, it'll be some squirrels or whatever rodent is out there that goes and steals food deliveries. I mean, why are we even still down here? There's a whole world out there, but instead I'm stuck in a bunker recording a failing podcast with you two morons.
It's just not worth it out there.
No, why are we still here?
Because it's not safe, okay? We've lived our whole lives here in this place that, happens to be in the ground, and I don't see any reason to leave. I mean, it's irrational to go outside and hurt yourself for such a reason, almost as irrational as fighting a war that leads to 110,000 able-bodied young men of your country dying for a reason that they can't even comprehend. It simply isn't worth it. In World War I, it's not worth it, and it's not worth it now. Wasn't just an incomprehensible threat. Germany was starting to re-engage on unrestricted submarine warfare, which would have greatly harmed our interests in Europe. Not to mention, the war had gone on for years now. There were 5.7 million European soldiers killed in the conflict, and God knows how many more would have died if the US didn't intervene, especially with Germany starting unrestricted submarine warfare again. I mean, that alone would have led to civilian deaths from trade ships and passenger ships in the area, just like with the Lusitania. And also, going back to military deaths, the British National Museum details the many battles of World War I in 1916 before the U.S. got involved. And for instance, the Meuse on the Mill, a battle that lasted for 9 months and resulted in roughly 350,000 deaths on both sides. Or maybe you could look at the 25,000 men who ended up dead in the span of a week in the big push by the British. And if we had stayed out, these battles would have kept on happening for years, leading to economic strife across Europe and even here in the US due to losing major trading partners. And just like how the US should join the war, we should leave this damn bunker. Because we can't just live in fear as things get worse, as the raccoons get more thieving, as people do whatever they do up there and it gets worse or better. I don't know, we haven't left this place ever. It's time to leave the bunker, Xavier. To protect our own interests, to go and help and meet other people, to end this unrestricted submarine warfare of the raccoons. I don't know. I think we might just need to stay inside. Oh, what? You're just leaving like that? Otta, come on, come back. Well, go off and cry or whatever. I don't care. Anyways, the war wasn't justified at all. I mean, sure, we may have helped Europe out of the war, but we also caused the traumatization of millions of our own soldiers and the deaths of thousands. So you believe we should never have joined? No, we shouldn't have. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she might be right on some points. We certainly had a positive effect on the war. I mean, we might have prevented a lot of bad things like economic ruin in Europe. Wait, God damn it! I hate you, Michael. I hate you so much. Ignorant idiot.
I hate having you as a moderator. Who chose you? You goddamn little Canadian moron over here. I hate you. I'm done here. I'm leaving. You know, I'm going.
Oh, you want to go? You want to go with her? Why don't you go?
You absolute imbecile. Hold on, wait. What are you doing?
Otta, just put the axe down already. Just come on.
Put the axe down already.
Just put the axe down already. Put the axe down. Step away. Step away from it. Put the axe down, Otta.
Put the axe down. No.
Otta, wait. Put the axe down. Put the axe down.
I'm done with this. I'm done. Breaking out. God, it's bright out here.
Well, I think there are two things we can take away from this episode of Highly Debatable. One, the U.S. decision to enter World War I was a difficult and controversial decision that created lasting impacts on the American public, but overall was beneficial to Europe, the rest of the world, and maybe even the US itself because it prevented war from dragging on for years, but it killed many US soldiers. And two, I need to call the police. That ends the 560th and probably last episode of Highly Debatable. Goodbye, and I probably won't see you all next week.